European Union is looking into UFOs. We've got that and more to cover today, so get in here. This is Jack with Cosmic Road. I talk about UFOs and the paranormal. Please hit like and subscribe and let me know what you think in the comments below. Yeah, I may start doing more afternoon UFO news roundups just because there's so much going on. But check this out. This is actually from a couple of weeks ago that the European Union convened to talk about UFOs. This is from Francisco G. I know you would love me to try to pronounce that name, but I'm not going to do it. I'm not falling for that bait. Full video of the event is right there. And UAP reporting and scientific assessment in the European Parliament. We had a fruitful exchange of views and debate. It is important to raise awareness on UAPs to improve stigma and free reporting in the EU. Gary Nolan himself comments on this. He says, "Thank you so much for your efforts, Mr. G. It's great to see the European Union looking into the hard data. The Arrow report from the DoD was a tragedy of unscientific musings and misrepresented hysterical mumblings. That report flagrantly contradicted the numerous other reports from the DoD and Arrow's previous reports and direct statements of fact from Senators Rubio and Schumer and several House Congress members. Your efforts underscore why this is not just a U.S. issue, but how the European Union can help us break the administrative logjam to answer fundamental questions of profound relevance." And here they are talking about possibly funding UFO research.
Funding. So my question is there any chance that you see what could the European Parliament do to provide funding for this kind of research?
Yeah, so interesting question, because we are debating the next year budgets of the European Union, and we just approved the guidelines, so the political priorities of the next EU budget, which it's already defined in quantities, but you always have some margins to allocate to different programs, and that's the political debate. So we introduced some political priorities. I made one amendment, that was talking about the European space law and the possibility of having finance to research these questions. But in the end, the compromise amendments, that part didn't enter. But again, it was a move to try to politically talk about the issue.
Well, okay, so they tried to get it funded and they couldn't get it funded, but at least they're talking about it. So I guess there's some forward progress being made in Europe. At least this is now a subject they can talk about without too much ridicule, hopefully, but not enough to actually get these programs funded. Meanwhile, I've got bombshell new information for you from Jon Stewart. Jon has had kind of a problem lately. There's been some behind-the-scenes stuff going on that's been a little hairy for him, and I hope that gets sorted out to his satisfaction. But it is a little alarming. But it totally vindicates him, by the way, as far as having this source about the Lockheed Martin firefight. And it's possible I might even get to talk to that source. So, that'd be cool. I've got to be kind of careful, and, that source does too. Nobody wants to go to jail for revealing classified information. But yeah, exciting. Very exciting. Some of you guys were wondering about Jon in light of my interview with Patrick from Vetted. But I made sure to reach out to Jon and get his blessing before doing that talk with Patrick. So fear not, guys. Jon's cool, and but listen to his really cool information. And this is about the alien interview. And and if you've forgotten the alien interview, I mean, how can you forget the alien interview? Which, by the way, was partially corroborated by Nico, friend of the channel Nico, who was able to see a much longer version of a similar interview, possibly with the same creature from a different angle. And, this is the version that we've been able to see, and that Jon has done so much investigation on, corroborating so much of it, including finding out what these numbers are at the bottom, that would only be known by, the people involved in that, program. But my heart goes out to this creature, because I think this is a real being that we're looking at, that goes into distress. And, it's, seems to have died shortly thereafter. So, very, very, very sad situation. But anyway, Jon has just done amazing work knocking on doors and getting fascinating information about the alien interview and also about the Lockheed Martin firefight over an ARV. Also corroborated in part by Nico. He didn't know the specific contractor name, whether it was Lockheed Martin or not, but he did hear the same story about a firefight between a private contractor and government agents over a man-made UFO. So, I believe Jon 100%. He's got a fantastic knack for knocking on doors until he gets the answers, and he has gotten some juicy answers, guys. Love Jon. Let me get to his latest thing. So I don't have to show you the email. I took a picture of it. Let's see. He says, I just got a signal text from a person in Washington. Apparently 2 years ago, the Inspector General to the Intelligence Committee, a USAF officer, spoke about the 1997 Victor alien interview and gave testimony under oath that the film and alien were real. You can go to press with this if you want. I can't post because I'm off social media, and that's that hairy situation that I was talking about. So I'm hoping that gets sorted out and everything is cool with that. But there you go. More amazing corroboration from the IG, no less, that this alien interview is real. An Air Force officer testified to the IG that this being was a real alien or non-human and that this video is authentic. That's what the Air Force officer testified to. Now, I know that we would all love to have that Air Force officer come out to the public and testify publicly, and for, him to be able to provide, the receipts of all of this. I know we would all love to see that. But Jon has been bang on with his information so far and with his sources, even potentially getting him in trouble. I hope not. So I think that, as far as I'm concerned, Jon and his information deserves the benefit of doubt. Obviously, your mileage might vary, and that's fine. Let me know what you guys think. But he has been vindicated both by Nico and also the source that for the Lockheed Martin story. And so his sources seem to be on the level. His information seems to be on the level. So I believe Jon when he comes forward with this information. And I hope that he is able to do future interviews talking about this, because this is certainly gangbusters information. Of course, when he does interviews, I know that he would like to be able to show the receipts as well, just as he has so far for the Lockheed Martin firefight and for the alien interview. Especially for the alien interview, he was able to show a lot of corroborative information. So, so I think this is a real video of a being interviewed in the alien retention program. And apparently, somebody was testifying to that effect to the IG a couple of years ago. So was this the alien interview that was supposed to be shown to members of Congress? Well, it very likely could be, guys. If this is what was being shown to the IG, this was probably making the rounds. So this is very possibly it, guys. You can see why it would disturb them. For one, it's an alien or non-human, whatever that means, other dimensional, crypto-terrestrial, whatever this being is. And then of course it goes into distress and sadly dies shortly after this was taken. So you can see it going into distress there, and the doctors come and they try to help it, but they can't. And it ultimately passes away. But just amazing further corroboration. Again, we've got Nico also corroborating this. And I 100% believe Jon. So it sounds like, even in the deep levels of the government, they are aware of this video and we're authenticating it. So, thanks, Jon, and Godspeed. Meanwhile, this has been making the rounds. Check this out. This is more information about the Langley UFO incidents. On the evening of December 14th, right after sunset, I was on the opposite side of the James River from Langley, sitting outside to watch that night's meteor shower. At around 7:15, I began to see red blinking lights from the direction of Virginia Beach coming in high and circling north of Langley Air Force Base, heading west and then passing directly over the base, heading east and back in the direction they came. It began as one or two coming every few minutes, and at its peak, I would say there would be upwards of 5 over the base that would sometimes stop and hover directly over the base, always blinking from white to reddish orange. The blinking was not uniform, and these were not planes. The lights were not on the end of wings or rotors. They were round orbs of light. They kept a very steady speed unless they hovered over the base, and their blinking would change and vary, almost like Morse code. Sporadically, a spotlight would come up from Langley and wave back and forth, but never seemed to focus in on the drones. They did not act, I'm putting the quotation marks, they did not act aggressively at all, just coming in, circling, and floating over the base before heading out. There were also larger UAPs that would come in one at a time, much lower than the orbs. It may have been the same one circling, almost tree level, and moved along the northern edge of James, right past Fort Eustis, went over Surrey Nuclear Power Plant, and then elevated and left in the same direction they all came from. These appeared reddish orange on the bottom, but had 3 white lights on the top and a flashing light on the leading edge. They made no sound, just like the orbs, and were close enough that I would have heard it if they were helicopters. I felt like these were kind of the command control of the event. I would say everything peaked around 8:15, and by 9, I could not see any more and went in. I would mention also that despite that being a high traffic area for military and commercial planes, I did not notice any during the event. And here is the video that he captured. And to me, that looks like planes, blinking with the blinking light that planes have. But apparently people who have been looking at this, and because there's a long Reddit thread about it, people have been talking about it on Twitter, say no, those are not planes, and that there are different objects that blink in different patterns, which would not be consistent with planes. And there's a few different clips here. Yeah, that one is blinking, and you can see a slower pulse than the other one. Yeah. What's going on at Langley? Why are the UFOs over Langley? What's going on there? Are they doing some crash retrievals or some alien retentions? And the UFOs are letting them know that they know what's going on? Or maybe they've got an alien there and they're trying to signal that they want their buddy back? All speculation. That's all we can do because they won't tell us. Maybe we'll get a Langley whistleblower coming out and telling us what's going on there. Something's going on. And this is fantastic footage of some of what is going on. And you can see these blinking lights. And let's skip a little ahead. You can see more of them. Just a lot of them, guys. Just a lot of them. You can see why the military would be alarmed and why this Langley incident is really making so many headlines. Because there's a lot of these craft. And apparently the military wasn't, trying to intercept them and drive them off. At least according to this witness, there was actually very little traffic over the airport during that time. And here's people talking about the 5 lights. Yeah, interesting that you point out they went over a nuke plant. Explains why they said the DOE are now involved. If they were civilians, they're going to be there's going to be a big mud hole stomped into them. Okay. Yeah, and there's this is a strange one. The strobe is very reminiscent of traditional anti-collision lights. That's what I was trying to come up with, anti-collision lights. But it's not the same for any of the objects. Each one has a different pulse rate and pattern. I wonder if the pattern in it is consistent per object or if they vary over time. This person says the lights were definitely not uniform. Look at the fourth video at the end of the clip. So there you go, just a fascinating incident over Langley that continues to get attention, as it should. I'm sure this stuff has been going on forever. Maybe this is something that was going on, at the Nimitz in 2004 with the ships, were there being UFO activity around military, in that case, vessels. But they've obviously been around our bases and nuclear power plants for a long time. So, what are they doing? What are they doing? Some people think they're drawing energy from our nuclear weapons or nuclear energy, that they are, using that as a power source. Some people think they're there to monitor the nuclear energy to make sure it doesn't get out of control. Whatever's going on, whether it has anything to do with the nukes or whether it's more military focused, who knows? Again, it'd be great to get some inside knowledge, but at the moment, all we can do is speculate. So let me know your speculations about what is going on or was going on at Langley. Meanwhile, in a recent interview with Tim Burchett on News Nation, he talks about the government lying about UFOs.
You are on the UAP front. Obviously, there's a push now to get a committee formed about this. We had your colleague, Congressman Eric Burleson, on the show the other day, and he said this. Watch.
They weren't transparent to us in a SCIF setting, so they could have brought forward evidence. They could have explained what these special access programs actually do, but they are not willing to do that with Congress.
He argued essentially that the Pentagon has not been forthright with its report that it released last week that essentially said nothing to see here on UAPs. Congressman, do you feel that the Pentagon is lying?
Yeah, they're lying. They look, since 1947, they've told us these things don't exist. And yet they spend tens of millions of dollars on these things, on studying something, yet they won't release the reports. They're redacted. They look like somebody shot them with a 12-gauge shotgun. Look, and there's the famous Tic Tac videos that were filmed by some very brave pilots, American pilots, military pilots. Then they say that does not exist. Look, I don't care about the flying saucers, the little green men. I've got my own opinion about that. I just want transparency. Why are we spending tens of millions of dollars on these things? And why do we trust a Pentagon that has failed every audit, that has lost over $500 billion in assets, allegedly? And then how do we punish them this last NDAA, a bipartisan bill? We gave them $20 billion new dollars. They're an arrogant bunch. They lie. It's about money. It's about power. It's all the things that run Washington. And we know it. Over half the American public believes there's something else out there.
They absolutely do, because there absolutely is, and Tim is continuing to bang that drum. Love it. Last but not least, we have some information about the first human Neurolink patient, a paralyzed man who is able to control a computer and play chess just by thinking, thanks to his implant. Check it out.
I think it just became intuitive for me to start imagining the cursor moving. Basically, it was like using the force on a cursor, and I could get it to move wherever I wanted. Just stare somewhere in the screen, and it would move where I wanted it to, which was such a wild thing.
That is amazing, guys. People being able to interact with computers with their minds, really helping out this paralyzed man. And I guess this will get more traction, and more people will start using it, and it will have wider applications. Obviously, there's some, alarming elements with that, with us merging with technology. But it is what it is, and at least it's able to help some people, or it will when this gets, more widely done. as far as what it means for the future, I have questions. I have questions, guys. But it's a thing and it's here. So let me know what you think about that and everything else covered today in the comments below. And if you've enjoyed this video, please give me a big thumbs up. I sure appreciate it. Smash the like button and the subscribe button and the bell to be notified of future videos. You don't want to miss a thing. Join me on social media, Facebook and Twitter, links below. Love to see you guys there. If you wanted to support Cosmic Road in an even bigger way, consider grabbing a coffee mug or a t-shirt in the merch store below, or by becoming a channel member, because channel members are rock stars, and I really appreciate you guys' support. Thank you. Also, channel members frequently get to see videos hours ahead of everybody else. Meanwhile, there are plenty of other videos on the channel, and I'll see you guys next time. This is Jack with Cosmic Road, signing out.